Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. So today we are going to have a discussion on the Edexcel O-Levels English Language syllabus, the 9-to-1 syllabus of Edexcel O-Levels in English Language. So hopefully this lecture will provide to be helpful for all the students who are facing problems in the new syllabus and the way the three sections are being divided. By the way, my name is Roger Arnold and I'll be the instructor of this full lecture. So anyway, so we already know that we already have an idea about what the new syllabus is all about. So the new syllabus, as usual, just like the old syllabus, it comprises of three sections: section A, section B, and section C. So the three sections we have A, B, and C. So in the old or the previous syllabus, if we look at it, we will notice that section A was 30 marks, section B was 35 marks, and section C was 35 marks. But in the new syllabus, it's a little bit different. Section A is 40 marks, section B is 30 marks, and section C is 30 marks. So it's being broken down in that way, the new syllabus. So now if you look at the new syllabus properly, we will notice that section A, there is a vast change compared to the old syllabus. So in this syllabus, as we already know, it's 40 marks. So in this syllabus, we will notice that section A has 7 questions. I repeat, because section A has 7 questions. Now, the section A 7 questions, again, just like the old syllabus, it has 2 texts, text 1 and text 2, or you can call it text A and text B. So the 2 texts we have. Now, each text will be just like the previous syllabus, probably like around 1.5 page or 1 page, and it will also test the same way, like the same way the previous comprehensions used to be in that style. The only difference is the marks have increased. So the 7 questions 1, questions 2, questions 4, and questions 5 comprises of 5 marks. Question 3 and question 6, 10 marks each. Question 7 is 15 marks. That's the change. Now, these 7 questions, before I go through them, I want everyone to have a clear idea about what AO is all about. AO is assessment objectives. Now, these assessment objectives are of 5 categories, you can call it. So AO1, AO2, AO3, AO4, and AO5. So as I've already said, AO stands for assessment objectives. Anyway, so in section A, we have AO1, AO2, and AO3. Section B, we have AO1, AO4, AO5. Section C, we have AO4 and AO5. I'll be going down with each group of it accordingly. So I'll start off with section A. First, I'll give a basic idea about it. Now, as I've already told you, there are 7 questions. Questions 1 to 3 is based on text 1. Questions 4 to 6 is based on text 2. And question 7 is compare and contrast. That means you have to talk about the similarities and you have to talk about the differences. Now, the thing about this is questions 1, 2, and 4 are 1 mark each. Question 5 is 2 marks. Now you remember something that is which is that AO1 for section A is the 5 marks. AO2 is the 20 marks and AO3 is the 15 marks. So AO1, the 5 marks, those 5 marks are based on questions 1, questions 2, questions 4, and questions 5 I've already mentioned, and 1, 2, and 4 is 1 mark each, and question 5 is of 2 marks. So here we have the questions according to that, and text 1 is questions 1 to 3 and text 2 is questions 4 to 6, and as I've already said, question 7 is the compare and contrast. So we have to talk about the similarities and we have to talk about the differences. Okay, so that is the breakdown of what section A would look like. Now I'm going to go more deep into the complete idea about section A. As I've already mentioned, section A is 40 marks, and according to that, the questions are broken down. AO1 is the 5 marks, AO2 is the 20 marks, and AO3 is the 15 marks. Now, AO2, the 20 marks, there are two questions, question 3 and question 6. Each one carries 10 marks each. So we have 10 into 2, which is 20. So question 3 and question 6. Now questions 1, 2, 4 and 5 are very simple. So they're just asking for basic ideas. So like say for example, questions 1, 2 and 4, you just have to write either one word or 3 words or one line. Normally 1 or 2 words or 3 words maximum, because you just have to give the idea about what it is. That's it, nothing else. Question 5 is all about 2 points. They will always tell you to identify any 2 points. So those 2 points is based on the text, and then you have to write the 2 points in 2 lines, like in a sentence structure wise. So that is the 5 marks, AO1 done. Now AO2, 10 marks each, as I've already said, for question 3 and question 6, which is basically text A and text B. Now for these 2 questions, question 3 and 6, which is 10 mark each, we have to make sure we follow a system called gap list. GAPLIST. What is gap list? Genre, audience, purpose, language, information, style, tone. These are the 7 things we need to follow for questions 3 and question 6. Now genre is the type. What kind of it is it? Is it horror? Is it an action? Is it romantic? Is it adventure? Is whatever it is. That's a genre. Audience is who we are targeting. Who are our target audience? Teenagers, middle-aged people, old people, and so on. Students, whatever it is. So that is the audience. Then purpose. What is the use of this writing? Why is it so useful? These kind of questions will arise. That is the purpose. Language. Language is all about the linguistics, for example. What they are using. You can mention the grammar. We can talk about whether it's the proper noun, common noun, abstract, collective. So we can talk about pronouns, verb, adverb, and there's so many other things. Subject, predicate, direct, indirect speech, and so on. So that is the language. And we also have punctuations, obviously, how they're utilizing the punctuations, comma, semicolon, colon, and so on. So that is language. Then information. What is it based on? We have to talk about the main aspects of it. So we have to use dialogues. They might not give it in a dialogue form, but we have to make it in a dialogue form. So how do we make it in a dialogue form? Normally what we have to do is, we don't write the full dialogue. Like say for example, that particular passage has a certain line or certain 2 lines that is explaining something. So you just write open inverted comma, double open inverted comma, write the first few words, give ellipsis, which is the 3 dots, and the last few words and the close inverted comma, and then you'll explain. Here the writer is trying to explain blah blah blah, whatever it is. So you have to use that for questions 3 and 6, and at least use 2 of it. That means you have to use at least 2 of the dialogues in this manner. Open inverted comma, close inverted comma, first few words, last few words, and in the middle there will be the ellipsis, which is the 3 dots. Because we don't have to write the full statement. If we tend to write the full statement, we will see that we are wasting a lot of time. And time is a very important factor for the new syllabus of O-levels. Anyway, so that is that. And then we have information, as I've said. Then we talk about style. What kind of writing is it? What is it based on? That is a style. And eventually we'll have the tone. Formal tone, informal tone, and there are many other different types of tones. So that is the tone. That is what the tone is all about. So this is our gap list. I'll repeat again. Genre, audience, purpose, language, information, style, tone. So these are the 7 things we'll have to remember for the gap list. So that is the basic idea of how you're going to tackle question 3 and question 6. Another thing we need to remember about question 3 and question 6 is that apart from the dialogues, you have to use adverbs or adjectives. Take out like certain words, certain impactful statements. Just explain them. What is actually, why they're using these kind of words. Use figurative speeches like repetition they might use. The writer is using a repetition of this, like this certain words, like the writer is using a repetition of homework to explain this situation or whatever. They can also use things like rhetorical questions, certain questions that don't need an answer. So the writer is using a rhetorical question or rhetorical device to explain a certain situation. So that's how we have to go on with questions 3 and question 6. And there are many other things. We have this situation called the rule of 3. Rule of 3 is like we're talking about something in threes. Like say for example, one person's characteristics, or could be 3 colors referring to a certain particular thing. or a person or an object or whatever it is. So these are the things we need to follow in the sense of questions 3 and question 6. Then we also have idioms. Sometimes we might find certain particular idioms. We also have other figurative speeches like simile or metaphor or alliteration, and there are many others. It goes on. But it's best not to waste too much time on these questions. I'll talk about the time in a while, but we have to make sure we maintain the timings properly. So that is questions 3 and question 6. And we'll have to make sure questions 3 and 6 we follow 5 paragraphs. First an introduction, then 3 body paragraphs, and then the conclusion. So in conclusion we have to write overall, in conclusion, in the light of the above, and so on. I would like to explain this. Introduction has to start for both questions, question 3 and 6. You have to go on, like say if it's question 3, you say like text 1 talks about this. It is an adventurous lifestyle, or it is an adventure based on so and so character. You have to mention it in that way. Whatever character or whatever they are talking about, what is the article or the text about, we have to mention that thing, that particular aspect. So that is all that we need to know about from question 1 to 6. Number 7, as I've already mentioned, compare and contrast. Compare and contrast means we have to talk about the similarities and we have to talk about the differences. Maintain 7 to 8 paragraphs. Introduction, middle 5 paragraphs or 6 paragraphs is the body, and then last is the conclusion. Again, in the same manner, introduction we say text 1 talks about this, it is that, it is blah blah blah. Text 2 talks about this, is that. So that is what our introduction is all about. Second paragraph, it's up to you what you want to do. It could be like second paragraph you'll talk about text 1, third paragraph you'll talk about text 2, fourth and fifth paragraph you'll mix both of them together, maybe the similarities or the differences. Then the sixth paragraph or the seventh paragraph, or 6 and 7 paragraphs, you can talk about the overall idea about both the texts, and then lastly there'll be a conclusion. Okay, so that is the 7 questions. Now one very important thing, one more thing we have to mention is the KAAE, which is basically knowledge, application, analysis, evaluation. Now questions 1, 2, 4 and 5 is just about knowledge, but questions 3, 6 and 7 is all 4. So in 3, 6 and 7, knowledge is a basic idea first, like we're talking about the texts. Application is how we are applying, like our second and third paragraph, to the situation we have to talk about. Analysis is more details, more into the passages, for example, more into the text, using dialogues, using adverbs, adjectives, idioms, phrases, vocabulary, whatever you feel like. Just use them, make it impactful, create a certain kind of a vibe, utilize these words properly so that you can reach as much audience as possible, so that the person who is reading make sure you clear the audience, basically, who are you talking about, so that when the examiner will read your paper, he or she will understand that you actually got to know what is the text all about. Then you will end up getting a 9 out of 10, or in the 15 marks you get like a 12 or something like that. So that is what it is. So application, analysis is more details, as I've said, and evaluation is the concluding part plus the relating connections of the paragraphs. So that is the main thing about section A. That's what you need to know all about section A. Timing I'll talk about in the end. Okay, that is our section A. Now we move to section B. Section B, we call it directed writing. Now in directed writing, why is it directed writing? Firstly, directed writing because it's directly linked to the passage. As in section A passage, we have to refer to section A's passage, and then we have to talk about section B, whatever they give you. There are 7 different types: formal letter, informal letter, speech, report, article, leaflet, account. I repeat: formal letter, informal letter, speech, report, article, leaflet, account. These are the 7 we need to know. Now, whatever we do, we have to remember the system here for section B is AO1, AO4 and AO5. These are 3 things: AO1, 4 and 5. Now these 3 things, whatever we do in section B, which we normally refer to as directed writing, we have the AOs there: AO1, AO4, AO5. As I've already mentioned, AO mean assessment objectives. AO1 is 10 marks, AO4 is 12 marks, AO5 is 8 marks. You have to keep that in mind. AO1 10 marks, AO4 12 marks, AO5 8 marks. So that is what we need to keep in our mind. That is for section B. And now formal letter You have to make sure we're talking about official. It's an official letter. Director, managing director, and so on. Principal also. Informal letters to friends and families. Report is all about any kind of information, giving something related to like something that happened, an incident, occurrence. Speech is obviously a talk that but it's not a live talk obviously because we are writing it. But you have to create it like a live talk. So we have salutations like good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my name is so and so, whatever it is, we have to mention it, right? And then we have article. Article is all about what is it based on. It could be a magazine article, it could be a report article, it could be a newspaper article, and so on. Then we have leaflet, which is an advertisement or advertisement, what do you want to call it? So advertising something, anything, whatever it is. And then last we have account. Account is autobiography, biography, and so on. Journal, diary entry. So that is the thing about section B. So for more details about section B, you can always check out my book. It's called The Learning Curve. So there I have written a lot about the topics, each topic. Plus I have also given the formats. So it's very easy for you to follow it. So there are the formats are given. Then I also have written something relating to each one, like formal letter, what it is for, informal, what it is for, and so on. And plus the section B, I have also like 100 topics given there. So 20 of formal, informal, and speech, 20 each of formal, informal, and speech, and report, article, leaflet, account, 10 each, full written. So you can easily, if you face any problems, or if you want to have certain clues about how they are, because that's a detailed version, so if I go to talk about those now, it'll take me hours, and I don't want to make this lecture a boring one, so you can always follow on the book. Anyway, so that is what section B is all about. Now, section B, as I've already said, AO1, AO4, AO5. AO1 is about consulting both the texts. That means text 1 and text 2. So we have to use information from text 1 and text 2 for section B, whatever it is, doesn't matter whether it's a formal letter or an informal letter, and so on. So we have to use information from text 1 and text 2. We cannot just use information from text 1 only or text 2 only. We have to use from both for section B. If you do not use, that means the 10 marks, as in the AO1 10 marks, you will not get a very decent mark. You probably get a 4 or a 5 out of 10, which tends to be bad. So we have to make sure we maintain that properly. So that is the thing about the AO1. So we follow the two texts, plus there are 3 points they will always mention whenever they have a formal letter topic. After the topic they write, focus on the following points. And you have to talk about the 3 points. If you do not talk about the 3 points, then also you will lose marks. So that is our AO1, the 10 marks. Then we talk about AO4, which is 12 marks. 12 marks is about creativity, is about imagination, is about linguistics, is about idioms, phrases, whatever you can use in the best possible way. It's your creativity, your ideas, which you cannot just copy paste from the text, obviously. So you have to use your own ideas, you have to expand your horizon, broaden your horizons. That means you have to read a lot, go through a lot, read a lot of essays, read a lot of articles, report, leaflet, account, whatever it is, for both section B and C, because section C is essays, right? And as I told you, if you feel like there's going to be a lot of problems, you don't know how to get any reference, I would refer my book. It's called The Learning Curve. It's all about section B and C, so you can easily check it out. I'll talk about that towards the end of my lecture, but for now let's focus on this. So that is my section B, or our section B, we can call it. So AO1 we got, AO4 also we got, that is 12 marks, and now AO5 is 8 marks for section B, which is SVPG, spelling, vocabulary, punctuation, grammar. Spelling as in correct spellings, using your spellings properly, not making too many mistakes, that is spelling. Vocabulary, using decent words, good language, properly writing it. Punctuation is all about where the full stop, comma, semicolon, using all the punctuations in an effective manner. And then grammar depends on what we are actually using, what kind of grammar, what is actually focusing on, whether we're talking about whether it could be related to, like, say for example, a person, a name. It could be related to any kind of grammar. It could be like a pronoun or a noun, adverb, adjective, conjunction, preposition, anything. So that is the thing about the AO5. Now in section B, it's very difficult to score, because we tend to see that in section B it's difficult to score because the checking is very strict and your ideas have to be broadened. You might practice a lot, but if you don't get the correct idea, if you don't practice in an effective manner, and if you don't get proper comments on what you need to improve on, it's very difficult to manage section B, and you'll always tend to get less in section B compared to A and C. So that's the major thing here. So that is all about section B. Then we move to the last section, which is section C. Section C is 30 marks, as I've already mentioned, and it has AO4, AO5 in the similar manner like section B. Now first let me tell you what section B is all about. It's about essays. Now these essays, we have three topics. We'll have a choice. First one is always descriptive or argumentative. Normally maximum time 80% chances of it being a discursive and or argumentative, but mostly discursive. The second one is usually narrative, and the third one is usually descriptive. So discursive, then neither for nor against. We have to talk about both sides. If it's argumentative, which is rare cases they will give you, but if they give you argumentative, then you'd be one-sided. If you're for the topic, you talk about for it. If you're against the topic, you talk about against. But if you're for the topic, you have to say something relating to against also. Maybe limited, but you have to say something. Again, 5 paragraphs, introduction, 3 bodies, and then conclusion. So to follow in that system. So introduction, basic ideas, what the topic is all about, setting the theme, what it is related to. If it's holidays, you talk about holidays. If it's talking about leisure, you talk about leisure, and so on. And the second paragraph, you go more into it, gives a certain vibe, create a kind of a connection, a chain we call it. Go with the flow, connect with the person who's reading your paper. Anyway, so the second paragraph, you start with explaining what it is all about, and then it's like a trailer of what that is about. And then you move to the next 2 paragraphs, follow it up, give more details, and then last conclusion. So anyway, descriptive, now the second one, is all about describing something, a situation or whatever. And narrative is all about telling a story. It's like, has to be in a story format. So whenever you talk about narrative and descriptive, you have to remember that in narrative, you have to tell a story, as we already know. So when you're telling it in a story format, you have to make sure you use good figure of speeches, like say similes, for example, or metaphor or alliteration. Create a kind of a vibe, create a kind of a vision. Like you talking about a sense of emotions, feelings, varieties. You have to make sure that whatever you do in this case, you have to make sure you show a proper kind of a guidance or guideline to the person who's reading, so that the examiner is impressed and will give you more marks. Because the main thing is about scoring as high as possible. So that is the thing about narrative. Descriptive is all about describing a certain situation or a moment. It's like being like Sherlock Holmes. You have to describe each aspect properly, the color, the background, the situation, how the person looks from top to bottom, what is his height, what is his weight, and so on. Many different things you talk about. So that is the main thing about this. That's what we have to keep in mind. So that is what these are. So either discursive or argumentative, narrative, descriptive. So you'll have a choice. From the 3, any one. Okay, so that is it. And then AO4, as I've already said, AO4 is all about your creativity, your imagination, the idioms, the figurative speeches you use, the important vocabulary you're using, the impact you're creating, and so on. And again, AO5 is same like section B, spelling, vocabulary, punctuation, grammar. So that is what section A, section B, and section C are all about. That's what we need to keep in mind. And the marks also, the breakdown, as I've already told you, we have AO1 to AO5. So section A, AO1, AO2, AO3. AO1 is 5 marks, as in questions 1, 2, 4, and 5. AO2 is 20 marks, as in questions 3 and 6. And AO3 is 15 marks. For section B, we have AO1, AO4, AO5. AO1 10 marks, AO4 12 marks, AO5 8 marks. Section C, we have AO4, AO5. AO4 20 marks, AO5 10 marks. And according to that, we have 5 levels for section B and C, that is. And also section A, obviously, for the big questions. So the 10 mark questions for section A, we have the the level 5s, as in if you're getting a 1 or 2, you're getting a level 1. 3 and 4 is a level 2, and obviously 9 and 10 is a level 5. And for the 15 marks, which is AO3 for section A, so question 7, that is like 3 marks, like 1 to 3 marks is AO1, 4 to 6 is AO2, and obviously 13 to 15 is AO5, so 3. And section B, which we have AO1, 4, and 5. So 10 marks is again 2, so level 1, level 2 according to that. 12 marks is marks 1 to 2 is level 1, 3 to 4 is level 2, 5 to 7 is level 3, 8 to 10 is level 4, 11, 12 is level 5 for section B's. For sections B is 12 marks, and then the 8 marks just has 4 levels, level 1, 2, 3, 4. According to that, the marks, so 2 marks each. Section C, A04, A05. So section C, A04 is like 4 marks each. So 1 to 4 is the level 1, 5 to 8 is the level 2, and according to that, then 17 to 20 is the level 5. Same goes for A05, which is the 10 marks. So level 1 is 1 to 2 and follow up according to that. Same style. So that is the overall syllabus of section A, section B, and section C. So comprehension, we have comprehension section A, we have directed writing section B, and we have essays in section C. So these are the things we need to know about section A, B, and C, 40, 30, and 30 marks respectively. And according to that, we have to understand, we have to practice a lot. That's the main thing. So that is the overall idea about what the syllabus is all going to be like. Now, one more thing we have to mention, or I have to mention, is the time. How can we break down the time? I would suggest students to start with section C, because that is your ideas. So you have to start, it's better to start with section C, then it'll be better for you to understand and not to get confused or not to fall short of time. So you start with section C, spend 1 hour on section C. First 2 minutes, you create a mind map. Like you create like a circle, right, the topic in the middle, and then you come up with 6 to 8 points or 6 to 10 points, and then you use those points in your essay. That'll be much more easier, and spend an hour. Then you move to section A. So section A, you use 1 hour or 1 hour 10 minutes. Now the key here is question 1, question 2, 4, and 5. Do not spend more than 5 minutes. Maximum 5 minutes. If possible, 2 minutes. Try to do it fast, because 3, 6, and 7 are more marks. You have to keep that in mind. So questions 3 and 6, I would tell you to use 15 to 20 minutes on each, not more than that. So, and question 7, we have to use at least 20 to 25 minutes. So that is like an hour for the big ones, and that one will take 5 minutes. Like maximum 5 minutes if you're talking about the questions 1, 2, 4, and 5. But now the best way to follow this is skimming and scanning. We have a system called skimming and scanning. We have to read it very fast. You're not actually reading the text, you're just going through it very fast, and you underline key lines, key words, key phrases in the passage, and then you will explain. That'll be much more easier for you to tackle. And as I've already said, question 3 and 6, use at least 2 dialogues, take out from the text. And when you go to question 7, use 4 dialogues, 2 from text 1, 2 from text 2. And for section B and C, as I've already said, if you want more knowledge on section B and C, you want to know how to write a proper report or an article or an essay as in section B and C, then you can easily check out my book. It's called The Learning Curve, and it's available at Paramount Bookstores BD, and it's also available at Boy Vichitra in Monk Bazaar. Or you can personally contact me, since you already know that there is my email address also, enbd2005@yahoo.com, or you can check out my account, or even if you have more, you can also go through my page. It's called The Learning Curve page. My book is called The Learning Curve. And if you want to get more into, before buying the book, you want to know something about it, you can always watch my lecture. So you have to like my page, The Learning Curve, and then you will see the videos there. So that's it for the syllabus. I hope it was helpful. I hope I could create a proper impact on all you readers and all you students. So future students, next year exams of this year in October, November, you're supposed to have an exam hopefully. So I hope it's going to be helpful for all the students and for next year also. So anyway, whatever it is, I just hope that students do check out my book also, because section B and C are clearly mentioned, everything over there. Sections A needs a lot of practice also, so you have to practice different comprehensions and know how to do it. Timing is very important. Time management is very, very important. You have to maintain your time properly, or you won't manage to finish your exam on time. So break it down according to that and do whatever you have to do according to that system. So good luck with all, and stay home, stay safe. And whatever you do, make sure you practice a lot. This is the best time to practice as much as you can. Be good. And this is Roger Daniel signing off. Peace.